Shalom, brothers and sisters, friends and family, Sanbonani. My name is Mpumelelo. Welcome to this channel. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the subscribers of this channel. Without you, this channel would not exist. I love you. Nina kupenda. Someone said to me that you can't tell people that you love them with a straight face. You need to smile and show some love. To all those who have not subscribed, please consider to subscribe to this channel. Be part of this family. Subscribe, like this video, hit the notification bell, and share this video with your friends and families. What are we talking about today? Today's message comes from two books. The first book is the book of Judges, Sefer Shoftim, and the other one is the book of Samuel. And what is the message? The message is about a demand that was made by the elders of Israel. The demand that changed our history. And it had implications on all future, on the history of the planet, of the universe, of the earth. So what was this demand? This is very interesting. If you don't pay attention to detail, you will not pick it up. And this is where I realize that sometimes we are not careful of the things that we say. Of course, we say things loosely without realizing that they have implications, serious implications. Okay. What was this demand? The first demand is made by the elders or the men of Israel to Gideon. Gideon was a judge, a reluctant judge who was just like Moshe. He was reluctant to be a judge and to save Israel against the Midianites who were harassing Israel. So the Almighty appointed him to be a judge so that he could save Israel. Now, after the battle with the Midianites, and I'm appealing that you should read the entire story. It is very interesting. It's an interesting story. It's found in Judges 8. Judges 8. If you read the entire story of Judges 8, you'll find the story there. But I'm just going to pick on two verses. Just going to focus on two verses, verses 22 and 23. In these two verses, after the battle with the Midianites, and after he subdued them, the elders of Israel, or the men of Israel, came together and approached Gideon, and they said to him, "Rule over us, you, your son, and your grandsons." So, they were appointing him as a king. And they said, after you, your sons, and after your sons, your grandsons. And Gideon says, no. He responded by saying, no, I will not rule over you. The Almighty will rule over you. Now, during that time, there were no kings in Israel. The Almighty would appoint a judge who will judge over Israel. But his role was not only a judge, as you would see with the case of Deborah. Deborah was the first woman. She was not the first woman to be a prophetess. Miriam was also a prophetess. But there were other prophets that are not even mentioned by name. So women played quite significant roles in ancient Israel. Contrary to what we are told in the New Testament, that they should shut up. They should shut up and inquire from their husbands. But here we find them playing significant roles. Deborah was a prophetess. She was a warrior, a general in today's standards, and she was a judge over Israel. She was judging over men. All matters of Israel, she was a judge. But not only a judge, a prophetess, and a warrior as well. Now, Gideon was also a judge, he was also a warrior, and I suppose a prophet as well. Now, the elders of Israel said to him, "Take over, rule over us." And he said, "No ways. I'm not ruling over you. The Almighty will rule over you." So they let it go. He continued to be judged, and he was succeeded after his death. So that period was a period of judges. And then came a period where Shemuel was also a judge, but he was also a prophet. Now this story, the story of Shemuel, this is where it becomes serious. The story of Shemuel is found again in Shemuel 8, Samuel 8, 1 Samuel 8, verse, or if you read the whole chapter, it is it's important. I'm just going to go through some important things that were said. They were said by the Almighty to tell the elders of Israel. But again, here, what happens to Samuel is that Samuel was growing old. So he was growing old, and he appointed his sons to be judges. So his sons did not match his standard. They were corrupt. And the elders of Israel rightfully said to Samuel, "Your sons, they don't walk in your ways. They are corrupt. We want a king." They demanded a king. And this was serious. Their concerns were genuine, but their solution was deadly. They said, "We want a king." But listen to what they say. They say, "We want to be like other nations. Make us a king. We want to be like other nations." Now, without them realizing, they were demoting the nation of Israel to be like other nations. If you aspire to be like other nations, you must be careful what you are aspiring for, because you're not only going to get a king, you're going to get a king and what the king does and what the people who are ruled by the king, what they do. And this is what they were asking for. I don't think that they were aware of the consequences of the things they were asking for. Now, Samuel was not happy with this request. He took it personally. He thought that they were rejecting him. So he went to inquire from the Almighty, and the Almighty said to him, "They are not rejecting you. They are rejecting me. They don't want me to reign over them." So this is what the elders of Israel were not aware of. They were rejecting the Almighty directly. And they thought they just wanted a king because the sons of Samuel were corrupt. But the implications was that at that time, the Almighty was the overall ruler of Israel, and he appointed people. So as it always turns out, the Almighty appoints us to do things. But he was the ruler, as he was in the wilderness, as he journeyed with the children of Israel by way of a cloud and a ball of fire. He was always in the presence of Israel. So They said, no, we want a king. Now what happened? As Samuel consulted or inquired from the Almighty said, give them what they want. Give them what they want, but tell them what a king will do. So Samuel went back to the people, to the elders of Israel, and he told them what the Almighty said, what kings will do to them. I just want to go through this because there are parallels between what the Almighty told the elders of Israel and what subsequently happened to Israel and what is happening today. So this had prophetic meaning. It didn't just apply to Israel at that time. So this is what the king will do. Samuel was telling the elders of Israel. This will be the behavior of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for his own chariots and to be his horsemen. And some will run before his chariots. Have you seen bodyguards running before the motorcade of the president? Have you seen that? He will appoint captains over his thousands and captains over his 50s. Armies, police, captains, commanders. This is happening even today. It did not have implication then. He will set some to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and some to make his weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. Every country has a factory that manufactures weapons for the government. And if the government does not have enough weapons, they buy weapons from other countries. Russia, the USA, even South Africa, we have a huge factory that manufactures, and who's working it's our sons and daughters. He will take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, and bakers. If you go to the White House or any presidential palace, you will find someone who cooks for the president, who dresses the first lady, and buys this and that thing for the president. And he will take your male servants, your female servants, your finest young men, and your donkeys, and put them to his work. He will take 1/10 of your sheep, and you will be his servants. That's tax. That's tax. And you will cry out in that day because of your king, whom you have chosen for yourselves. And the Lord, it's written, the Lord here, Yud He Vav He, will not hear you in that day. What is happening today? Aren't we crying and say this government is corrupt? And doesn't it appear as if the Almighty is not answering our prayers? We change governments every 5 years, but by the end of their term, we are fed up. We want someone else, but it doesn't change. It's the same. We change every 5 years. This is fascinating. This had huge implications on in our future, on our future. Pardon me, my English sometimes escapes me. I spoke 5 languages before I spoke English. So English is not my first language. I spoke five other languages before I mastered, or I was able to speak English. But anyways, these are the implications of what the elders of Israel asked for, and this is what we are left with today. The Almighty doesn't rule directly over us. I said, okay, you want to rule over yourselves? Do it. And this is every king and there were no queens except for, the wives of kings. Every king that ruled they oppressed people, directly or indirectly. And every government that is ruling us today is oppressing us, directly or indirectly. But why is this? Why is it that governments can't rule over people? Why is it that they end up being corrupt, even if they had good intentions? The reason being is that, and this is what I didn't realize, we were never given the authority to rule over one another. The Almighty is supposed to be our ruler directly. He appoints people, but he's the overall. We consult with him when we want to do certain things. The only kingdom that seemed to work was the kingdom of David, because he always consulted with the Almighty before he could do something. There were slips up here and there. He would conduct a census without being commanded by the Almighty, and there would be a plague. So it doesn't work. We can't rule over one another. We were not given that authority. If you go to Genesis 1:26, the Almighty dispenses the blessings to us. First, to the first human beings that he created. He blesses them. He says, have dominion over the earth. And then he describes in detail what he means. Have dominion over the birds of the sky, over the fish, over the cattle, over all creeping things. But he never said have dominion over men and women. And this demand by the elders of Israel changed things. But the Almighty said, okay, let's see what will happen here. Give them what they want. And it became chaotic even today. This is for this reason that after we have failed, after we have cried out to the Almighty will bring the Messiah. After we realize that we are failing, we can't rule over each other. And even the Messiah, if you read Isaiah 2, we are told that the Messiah will fear the Almighty. He will rule by his decree. Now, if you had believed that the Messiah is Yehoshua and Yehoshua is the Almighty, how can the Almighty fear himself? Because we are told that the Messiah will fear the Almighty. Our governments have no fear of the Almighty. They pass laws that are contrary to the teachings of Scripture. So we have no authority. We can't do it. As long as we still think we can appoint the next government, he will be better, they will be better than the previous one. We don't get it still. So we need to come to a point where we say they are all failing. We want the Messiah to come back, to return. We must all cry and pray for the return of the Messiah. Now, if I say the return, people will say, aha, so it means he once came. I'm not talking about that one, please. So we need to make a demand of the Messiah to come, because we can't do what we were not authorized to do, but we were given it because we wanted it. And there we are. There are coups, there's corruption, there's all sorts of things we can name. It's not getting any better. It's because of that demand. I found it interesting as I was reading it. And please, I would like to hear what you think of it. The only way is for the Messiah to return, to come. If the Messiah doesn't come, we will be plunged into the crisis that we find ourselves in. It will continue, it will be worse. There will be wars. What is happening in Ukraine, what was happening in Ethiopia, what is happening in Israel and Gaza is nothing. It's going to get worse. Only the Messiah can rule. And the Messiah rules in consultation with the Almighty. He doesn't do what these governments are doing. They wake up in the morning and they pass a law, a very controversial law, and they don't care. So, tell me what you think. Please make your comments. I'd like to hear from you. Thank you very much. Asante sana. Until next time.